Well, a hacker has exposed the personal details of staff and students at the Australian National University, and it dates back close to 2 decades. Names, addresses, financial information, passports and even academic records have been compromised in the breach. It happened late last year, but was only detected 2 weeks ago. The ANU Vice-Chancellor says in late 2018, a sophisticated operator accessed our systems illegally. Our staff have been working tirelessly to further strengthen our systems. Cyber attackers have also got their hands on the private details of about 100,000 Australian bank customers. They targeted Westpac's new Pay ID system, but the bank says account numbers haven't been compromised. Earlier I spoke to Fergus Hanson, who is the head of the International Cyber Policy Centre at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. Fergus Hanson, thanks for your time. Now, this hack from the ANU, or of the ANU, names, addresses, bank details, emails, passport details as well. It sounds like they've got all the ingredients for financial fraud.
Yeah, I think there's two main candidates here for having perpetrated this. It could be a cyber criminal that wants to sell the information on the dark web to steal people's identity, or it could be a state actor looking to build profiles of people that are going to be either serving in the national security community or about to serve.
So that latter one, because it's from ANU, is that what makes this a little bit more likely?
Yeah, I mean, ANU is Australia's top-ranked university, so it's got incredibly valuable IP, and it also is a feeder group for the national security community here in Canberra. Yep. They're recruited directly out of the ANU, and people that are serving at the moment in the Australian government are taking short courses and degrees at ANU, so they're submitting CVs telling the ANU where they've worked, all their personal information, and that could be really useful for building a profile of those individuals.
If it were about financial fraud, would we have known by now, given this happened in 2018? Would there have been a slew of people saying, my money's disappeared out of my bank account?
Yeah, given the time lapse, you know, they're saying the end of last year, you would expect to start seeing that sort of information percolate on the dark web. It's got a relatively short half-life, so once you've got the information out there, you know, people are shutting down their bank, changing their bank account details and things like that. So you want to get it out quickly and sell it quickly. So it does point more towards a state actor, given that we haven't seen reports of that information out there already. How
much of a concern? We know we've had plenty of these hacks, but that this happened with so many different bits of information at ANU, as you say, an important strategic university, and it took so long to discover as well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to be hacked once. It's, you know, really bad to have it happen to you twice. And given that the role that the ANU plays in Canberra, it is really unfortunate that you've got, you know, officials in the national security community whose details, you know, have potentially been compromised. So yeah, I think it is a pretty serious issue, and, you know, very unfortunate that it's happened to the ANU again.
State actor, is China the first suspect?
Yeah, I mean, you can't rule out other countries that might be wanting to get this information on Australian officials, particularly in the community. But you know, China, of course, is front of mind, and it's got form in other places. So you can see it in the United States, for example. It broke into the Office of Personnel Management to steal the information around security clearances that people had filled out, all the big forms they'd filled out for that. It's stolen healthcare information from big healthcare providers in the US, and it's stolen, for example, information from hotel chains like Marriott. And when you piece that all together, you can start to build profiles of individuals that may be of interest.
It's interesting because we've got a huge trade relationship with China. We know it's always this sort of binary issue of there are certain things we love to do and talk up with China, and then there's the other stuff and very different political systems. But it's a bit strange that we have that relationship on the trade level, and yet this still goes on. I mean, even a number of Chinese students at universities, and yet still they're hacking into the universities.
Yeah, we're getting sort of two narratives in Australia and two messages from China. You know, one is we want to be friends and we want you to take friendly actions towards us and allow, you know, Huawei to participate in the 5G build, for example. And then on the other hand, you know, we're very comfortable, you know, breaking into your parliament and stealing information on, you know, free IP from your companies and the like. That's all, you know, fair game as far as we're concerned. So, you know, it's a sort of contradictory messaging we're getting from China, and I think it's also a contradictory messaging where, you know, as Australians, we're grappling with this challenge of China is our largest trade trading partner. It's hugely important to the Australian economy, yet it's doing all these increasingly assertive and taking aggressive actions in places like the South China Sea.
No, and it's a good point on Huawei that they still they're saying give us a chance all the time while, state actors are doing this type of hacking. Do you suspect the UK will come to the US and Australia side on Huawei?
I'm hopeful that the UK might reverse the decision that seems to have been made now that we're looking at a leadership transition in the United Kingdom. UK has made some serious investments in Huawei technology. It's got a lot of sunk costs that would be quite expensive for it to fix its system, but I am hopeful that it might tweak its decision, and I think that would be ideal from the point of view of the Five Eyes.